Apart from that, even the other developmental disorders, and even for the adult patients, we give free consultation. So basically our mission and vision is to provide therapy for each and every person, whoever needs or who is in need of therapy, basically. So that is what we do. So gearing up for today's talk. So like many of you would have seen the topic, and yeah, so here we go. So the main topic given to me was creating and implementing effective transaction plans for adults with autism. So me, before getting into the topic, so firstly, I just wanted to speak few things regarding autism. So basically, I consider I see autism in three different kinds. So number one would be the early intervention stage of an autism kid, so who is in between the age group of 0 to starting from 0 till the age of 6 or 7. So this is one set of people, so whom they are in the early intervention stage of autism. So apart from that, gearing up to the next stage, it would be from 7 till 18, or it can also be from 8 to 18. So we call like young adults or adolescent period or adults period. So this is the next phase of autism, or the patient who is in autism, or the children or the child or whoever may be in autism. This is the second stage. The third stage definitely would be above 18. So that completely comes in adults with autism. So first, speaking about the adolescent period, or whatever the things which are needed. So for creating or implementing a transaction, so there are a few factors which definitely is needed for building up a strong base for this transaction period. So whenever I speak to a few of my friends or colleagues, I used to discuss this thing. Today, we may run towards this thing called early intervention a lot. Yeah, I agree completely that it is definitely needed. Early intervention plays a very major role. But every children after 10 years is going to be young adult or adult, mainly. So it is very important for a therapist or even for a parent or anyone to start working on the transaction period as soon as possible. If the child is above 6 or 7, it is very, very, very important for a parent to start with the transaction, basically. Going deep into it, first and foremost, what are the few factors what we are supposed to work with the child? So before going for any specific change or specific thing, a few factors what we have to see through it. First and foremost, I would speak about sensory. So sensory, as we all know, occupational therapist works on sensory. It is very important for any child to be confident with the sensory. So yeah, let us take example of anything. Let it be the child is having a toe walk, the child is doing a lot of somersault, he likes swinging, or all those things, or tactile defensiveness. Any sensory might be a problem. It is very important for the therapist to go through this, or the parent to see through this, that the child is at least be able to like, even though they have the sensory, few sensory may be fading out in few days, few months, or few years it may take, but they should be able to control it, or they should know the interoception should be there mustly. So the parents first and foremost is like, with the sensory, how they're going to live their life, the children. The parents should teach them, basically. That can be basically done with a lot of equipments or lot of devices, whatever is available, or the major impact that they can do with the children is by giving them the cognition, or make them understand about the sensory, make the child understand about the sensory. That would be the greatest gift what a parent can do to a child. So apart from that, next basic step would be working on the personal hygiene or the self-care of the children. So it is very, very important. Before getting into the transaction period for the child, to learn all the daily living activities for the child. So it has been said in the literatures so clearly that the child or any person in this world becomes independent with respect to the daily living activities by the age of 7 to 8. Yes, I repeat it once again, the 7 to 8, a child or any person will definitely be independent with respect to their ADL, activities of daily living, which includes brushing, toileting, bathing, dressing, eating, mobility, social communication, sleep, and mostly everything. So first and foremost, it is very important for the therapist as well as the parent to work on this aspect as the base. So, if I'm not ready to work, like if the child is not coping up with this, the next transaction period, it is going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be really hard for the parent to manage the child. So yeah, I understand there would be a lot of behavior aspect which would be affecting the children, but it is very important for the parent to overcome all those things with respect, again with the help of a few medical professions such as behavior therapist, or let it be psychologist, child psychiatrist, or anyone, overcome it, or even an occupation therapist can help through that and just come out of it and just again work with the daily living activities and make the child independent before getting into 8 to 18 years of age. So as I've told you, IADL is important. Next thing would be their IADL, which is called as instrumental activities of daily living, or in simple term we can call it as life skills. So life skills matters a lot. Like once you're done with the daily living activity, next life skills would be going to a shopping mall, going to get into a bus, traveling through a bus, or traveling in a train, or crossing a road, or at least going to the school. So these are the few things which is definitely needed for the child to achieve at the early ages. So this at least should the child should be independent by the age of 10 to 11 with all these aspects. So let not go to a very big shopping mall and shop, but at least to the places very nearby. When you speak about more about Indian context, it's very important at least the child to go to the next door shop and get some at least a milk packet or sugar packet and come back. So this the child should definitely know. And again, moving to the transaction period, the child at the age of 18, the child should be completely independent with respect to the life skills also, by wearing his shoes on his own, tying up his shoelace, arranging his cupboards, taking care of his pets, or his own whatever his materials is there. So he should be able to take care of it completely, and whatever things which he is having, let it be let us start with a pencil or rubber, or even to a dress or whatever gadgets he has, he should keep it safe and sound, and the communicating. So all these things should be definitely worked with respect to or implemented to this particular period of time, in the transaction period of time. Coming up next, the sleep plays a very major role. So right now we know a lot of parents struggle with respect to sleep. So sleep is one of the major complicated issues. Like right now we know that we have a lot of drugs where we give the children, mainly the melatonin, or let it be any sedative drugs. But when you come to the transaction period, it is really going to be a difficult task for the parents. So it is really better for the parent to stop the drugs right now and start working finding out another way, like any other possibilities, whatever can the parent do to the children basically. Yeah, and I understand like sometimes the children gets a lot of aggressiveness, or they do not intend to sleep a lot of time. Yeah, that's common, that's really common. But at those times also the parent should try finding out another possibility rather than to put them on the drugs, because definitely when you speak about a longer run, drugs are not going to help them as compared to making them independent, or for them to control their own sleep cycle on their own. So it is very important for the parent to work on the sleep also. So next coming would be the cognitive. So as I've told you, when I spoke about sensory, cognitive also plays a very equal support with respect to the daily living, or the throughout the life. So cognitive, my son is not, or my daughter is not able to live an independent life, or he's not oriented basically. So what day is this, what time it is, so this basically he's not able to know, then it is really going to be hard for the children to get into the transaction period, and or be in the transaction period, the age between 8 to 18, or you call it as 12 to 18. So it is definitely going to be a tough time. So very importantly, below the age of 10, it is very important for the parents and therapists to look at this basic aspect. Where am I living? What is my mother's name? What is my father's name? What is my father doing? Or this basic orientation should be there with the children. Apart from that, the children should be well aware of their personal things, personal materials, their personal friends or whom they are going to go with, and all these personal things. If a person, where is he touching, where is she touching, so all these basic things should be taught to the children at this early stage before getting into the transaction period of adolescence. So next, so I just wanted to speak few things with boys and girls, and few things in common. So again, so as we all know, at the age of 11, the child or the young adults, they're going to hit the puberty. So they might face a lot and lots of troubles during those time, basically. So it is very important for the therapist or the parents to start working with all those aspects from the age of 8. So first and foremost, let us start with, if it is a girl, let us start working with the menstruation or the period cycle. So it is very important for the parent to completely work on those initial part. First and foremost, they should be able to control the sensory aspect of it. They should be able to control the mood swings, whatever they have during this menstrual cycle. Apart from that, it is very important to dress up themselves. Let it start from their undergarments or getting the personal hygiene equipments or whatever things are needed. So whenever they have to carry, so all this thing has to be taught to a girl child before starting the transaction plan or before the transaction period. It is very important for the parents to implement this basic things for the children, mainly for the girl children. Next major issue, because I worked with a lot of transaction period people, or let us speak about the children who's in between the age of 9 to 12 or 13 or 14. Many things what I found was, next thing was the sexual urge or the sexual pleasure. So you can call it as the self pleasure or anything. So what happens is the public masturbation becomes a very common thing, or seen commonly with respect to these boys mainly. So yeah, girls also do it, but majorly boys are more into this. So it is very big responsibility for each and every parent, as well as the therapist who are working with the children, to work on that aspect very initially. At least by the age of 8 or 9 or 10, it is very important for the parents. I find a lot of parents hitting their children whenever they do this act. But the parents or the therapist should be very well aware that it is not they want to do it, but their body is urging to do it. This is the major difference. This is definitely not a behavior aspect. It is a neurological aspect. It is what their brain tells them to do. It is not the behavior they want to do it. So there is definitely a time it becomes a behavior, but initially it is more of a neuro aspect. So it is very important for the parents and the therapist to initially work more on this basic sexual activity for the children who is again in between the age of 9 and 12 or 13 and above, even above that, before getting into the transaction period. So next, one more major important thing is, again, the first point which I mentioned about the ADL, again, it is very important for the girls also. What basically happens is, because the children are not aware of how to dress or how to adjust the dress in a public place or something like that, what is happening is, I even few months back I heard about an incident which happened in Bangalore, with respect to a girl child. Was few people were trying to take advantage on the child. So yeah, this society or few people are definitely like this. Yeah, strict action should be taken against them, but it is very equally important for the therapist or the parent of the child, for them to teach all this basic thing when they get into the adolescent period or in as a transaction plan for the female child. So next basic thing which I want to speak about is the emotional stability, or majorly we call it as emotional regulation. So the first and foremost, whenever a child is crying or shouting or being angry, first and foremost it is very important for a therapist or a parent view to just see why the child is basically angry, or why the child is emotional, or why the child is becoming angry, what is the triggering factor which is making the child angry, or making them behave in a wrong way. So first and foremost, we have to go to again the triggering factor. We have to try sort it out, that so that during the transaction period the behavior would not affect their transaction plans. So first and foremost, emotional is also a very big part when it comes to a transaction period. So next, so we'll just speak few things. I just wanted to speak few things, like starting from the age of 11. So what can I do to my child initially? So first and foremost, IEP plays a very important role. Individualized educational plan. Yes, so first and foremost, it is the responsibility of the therapist, like let it be the occupational therapist, let it be the behavioral therapist, let it be the speech therapist, even aquatic therapist, or whoever who is handling with the children or with a particular child. It is very important for them to sit with the parent and make a fruitful set a fruitful goal for the children. So next 30 days, next 15 days, what they are going to teach, or what they're going to work with the children. Like if the child is 11 years, so starting from the day one, this next 15 days, what they're going to work, or what improvement are they going to show, or like let it not be more of improvement or outcome based, but what is the process that they're going to work, that matters a lot. Let it be educational, let it be leading to vocational training or vocational rehabilitation, that doesn't matter, but it is very important for them to sit and discuss of what they are going to basically do for next 15 to 30 days, and then start working on the intervention part. So it is very important. So this is one of the major thing which I want to speak. And like next, getting more deep into education part. First and foremost, what are the few goals, or whatever the few things whatever I can follow being a therapist, or with the help of parent, what I can try implementing in this education in this transaction period for a children or for an adolescent with autism. First and foremost, I should be able to make the child more organized with respect to the academic. So what I basically always do is, when a child gets into the transaction period, whether I focus on education or else I try focusing on the vocation training part, or for few people what I do, I combine them and give. So that would be the major thing. So after the age of 18, that is a place where everything is going to fix. So whether the child is going to get into university, or the child is going to remain in their education at the 12th grade and get to the vocation training, or start their own business, or do whatever they like basically. So if they have opted education, so till the age of 15, they should be completely fine with these few goals. First and foremost, they should be well organized in their academic or academic life. So instance, let us assume today is Tuesday, tomorrow is going to be Wednesday. So Wednesday, what are the timetable which is going to follow? So what are the books that I have to take to the school? What are the instruments like pencil or geometry box? What are the things which I have to make it organized when I'm going to getting into the school? First and foremost, they have to be very well organized and aware of all these things initially. So so these are all the small components what I'm going to work in the transaction period. So apart from that, which is my classroom, where am I going to sit, how can I sit for a longer time? So all these basically things had to be worked with respect to parents as well as the therapist. Next is if I'm 16 years or 17 years, to what am I going to study next? So am I good at commerce? Am I good at sports? Am I good at medicine, or am I good at doing an engineering subject, or let it be anything? But it's very important for the parent, initially for the child, to set up a path. So for choosing all these things, the child should be aware of what are the different things available for him. So whenever you're doing IEP, which is Individualized Education Plan, it is very important for the therapist as well as the parent to find out the interest at that time itself, so that it will be very easy for them to make the child study what their child wants, or to whatever the educational institution, whatever they have to go. It will be very easy for them to look at that also. Apart from that, Next thing would be studying habits. So we have the study hours, time, or whatever, how to create a study environment. All these basic things have to be definitely worked in between the age of 13 to 18. So that what happens if they are going to an university or going to a higher studies, it will be very easy for them to adapt towards all those things. So it will not become a very big change, but it would be gradual change for the children. So next important thing is to follow a schedule or a routine. So first and foremost, again, what I would do is writing up a calendar. Maybe next month 13th I have an exam, so I should remember that. So what I can do is I can plan a reminder for it, or else I can go through the calendar and just try working the things basically with respect to that. So all this following a schedule or thing should be basically made by the children. For that, it is very important for the therapist as well as the parent again to work as a team and work on it. And nowadays we very well know regarding the different technologies or different things which are coming up. Let it be the virtual room, like virtual classroom, which is happening on, or when you go to a university, it is very important. More than writing letter nowadays, the sending email has become a new trend and new change whatever has occurred or whatever is happening. So it is very important for the parents to work on these aspects also as a transaction plan. The children should be well aware of the technology, whatever they are using. Let it be from the personal computer, let it be from the laptop, or sending a mail, or sending a message, or WhatsApp, or anything, or logging into a classroom session and getting into it. So all different things, they should be very well aware of it. Next and foremost is finding out the friends. So this is a very big task for children with autism. Yeah, I completely get it, but it is very important at the same time to teach them how to find their friend, how to speak to others, at least how to start the social communication. For let us assume the child tomorrow is studying in a university or studying in a school, but he has to get a letter or sign from any person, from any staff. How would the child do directly? It's going to be very difficult time and very difficult task for the child. So what can I do from today is first and foremost, try telling who are the staffs, who are the different staffs, what are their roles and responsibility. So if you have to get a sign from the dean of the college, yeah, you have to go to the dean, not to a peon or a professor. No. So we are supposed to tell them from today, like teach them from today, that who are the different roles played and different personalities in an educational setup. So it is very important as a transaction plan at that time also. So these are the few things regarding the education. Now coming back to the work. So work. So if my child is going to work or going to do any volunteering or internship services after the age of 18, so what would be my transaction plan for him is, first and foremost, he should be well aware of his interest. So even for the education, as I've told you, like one thing which I missed out was selecting the subjects. So when I'm done with my 10th back in India, what next subjects I'm going to study, whether I'm going to take biomaths and study, or get into a commerce field, or get into an arts and science field. So it is very important for the child basically to look at all those things initially. In the same way, when you're getting to work, if I'm not knowing what work I'm going to do, or what are my capabilities, or what I'm good at, it is definitely going to be hard even in the vocation training or vocation rehabilitation time also. So first and foremost, if I'm going to go for a work, first and foremost, I should know about the work environment and work habit. Let us assume a child is very good at cooking, and they are working in a hotel setup, a restaurant setup, or let us assume the child is definitely in a bakery setup. So if the child is at bakery setup, the child should be very well aware what are the different equipments being there. So what today you can tell him is, what are the different, maybe if you get into a bakery, you can teach them these are the different materials which are available. Few equipments like oven, few equipments like microwave, or all this different things can be definitely taught to the child at the initial age itself, so that the work is going to be very easy. The child is going to get adapted towards the work environment very easily. So next, no, if my child is not going to be an unskilled labor, but he wants to get into any firm, like IT firm or something, the child should be initially taught how to make a CV or resume initially. Next and foremost, how to apply for jobs. All the small things are definitely have to be taught to the children. And apart from that, how to select his career, how to choose his career, or how to choose his path, it should be made very well made to the child initially. And apart from that, how to get adapted with the people, how to mingle with the people in the workplace. So because if he's not again working with them, it is going to be a difficult task for him to sustain at that place, or him or her to sustain at that place. So that would be a very important basic thing. So these are the few transactional things what I just want to discuss. And apart from this, I want to add few more things. As I've told you first, his independency matters a lot. He's getting into either into education. If he's going to education, the transaction plan is completely around the education, or else he's getting into work or vocation rehabilitation or vocation training. His all things are surrounded by that. Apart from that, I just wanted to discuss further more about the IADL skills. So that would make him more and more independent, basically. Whether to go into work, or whether to go into educational institution, or with those things, it would be very, like right now, to work on IADL skill would be a very big answer for that. First and foremost, work on his meal preparation. Whenever you cook, like the parent cooks, it is very easy for, like, it is going to be a difficult task, but it is very important for making their child to see all those things, so that they get an exposure towards cooking. So what basically would happen when they are in a cooking is they would definitely learn a lot of skills with respect to cooking. So it helps them in the educational part also. As we all know, the capacities, it is not the random things you put. It is like one onion, so you have to cut one onion and put one onion. If you have to put 2 tomatoes, yeah, it is going to be 2 tomatoes. So in the same way, this becomes one educational. Next, it would be again a vocation training also. So this basically, this sort of activities, or this sort of work can be initially the child might be made engaged at the early age, so that educationally also the child is well sounded, as well as the vocation training part also the child would be well sounded. So this they can start at the age of 8 or 9, or even 6 and 7 also. It is very easy for the child to start all these things. So next one last thing which I want to speak and conclude the session is regarding the vocation training part. So a lot of parents like when I speak to a lot of parents, they always ask me, what can I do for my child after the age of 18? So back in India right now, there have been lot of platforms which have been started opening for the adult autism. So I basically call them as adult autism because after the age of 18 they become legally or constitutionally adult. So for them, first and foremost, rehabilitation, vocation training is a very big scope right now. You have different national government colleges which has been coming up, and different skill centers back in India which have started offering courses for children, like mainly with physical and mental disability. So we can make the children join over there. Apart from that, next option would be indulging them in a volunteer or an internship work. So again I repeat, volunteer or internship work, or even as an apprentice, you can definitely engage a child in some or the other work. So what basically happens over there is, that is a place where they learn about, like again, first and foremost, as I told you, interest is the major thing. So if you find interest, and let us assume the child is interested in cooking. So if you're sending a child to a restaurant or a hotel or any place basically, so as an intern or as an apprentice or as a volunteer. So there they learn a lot and lots of skill. So there it would be direct hands-on training for session for them. So they see that, they get adapt towards the change, they know about the work insights, and they know about the scheduling, they know about the work environment, they get into, they know about this, a lot of things, and then they start cooking with it. So it might be, they might definitely, we all know they are very good in, few people are good in cognitive. So there are a lot of possibilities for the children again to become a good chef also, or start up their own business. So like start engaging a child in as an intern basically. Apart from that, you have a lot of community job sites, or a community where people help them getting into employment. Again, in India there are a few places. So what basically can be done is, like, you can engage them there also. You can send them there also, so that they get to know about themselves, and they start giving them training or getting trained a lot at that particular place. So these are the few after 18 or when they become adult, these are the few possibilities, opportunities what has been available. So I hope this